Please be advised that we are speaking in our own individual capacities and not representing any companies we may work for. We are not your lawyers, and any information given during this podcast does not constitute as legal advice and is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Enjoy the episode.
Hi guys, I'm Katie.
And I'm Nicole.
And welcome back to Girls Gone Legal.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Hello. What? Oh my gosh. So this is such an exciting episode because I'm just gonna get right into it because I'm real excited. But I guess let's reel it in for a minute. How are you doing today, Nicole?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little hungry.
I'm
Are you hungry too?
I was just telling Katie on our way here that I made chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, and she's like, I should have brought them. Like, you should have. I'm like, I literally haven't eaten anything all day.
They're so good. I should have brought them for you.
Lauren is making me lasagna, so there'll be lasagna ready when I get home.
Ooh, that's an
So
Italian girl's
excited.
dream. I'm coming over.
I know. Oh, wait, fun question. Have you done like the Bryant Park like Christmas stuff?
I have.
Like in the past, like or this year?
Yeah. Well, not this year. Not
Yeah.
yet. But
I did
have
it
in the
last year.
past.
It was so nice. But my
It was really nice.
best friend's flying in tomorrow
Okay.
from Toronto. So we're going to go do all the Bryant Park stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or Friday.
That would be nice. They have so many cute pop-up shops and food and
I know.
desserts. Oh my god, the
If
desserts.
you're in New
are
York
so
or you're going to
good.
visit New York, go to the Bryant Park pop-up.
Yes.
Anyways, sorry. Were you continuing?
Yeah, I was just
Were you
gonna
talking
review what you
about
said. Go to the Bryant Park pop-up. It's fun. New York
It's
is so cute during. The
It's like a
winter
classic,
season.
right? Christmas in New York. You got to do it.
Yeah, except it's freezing, so you gotta dress. Really
I'm a
warm.
Canadian girl. It ain't cold. Not even a little bit.
Is it really cold?
It's freezing in Canada right now.
Like how cold?
Like coats. Not coats, but like because
Snowing?
global warming.
Is it snowing?
Not yet, but it's gonna. I think there was like flurry. It also depends where you are in Canada. Like my boyfriend's parents are like more north.
Northern.
Northern. They're more north than where I used my parents'
Okay.
house. So like
Is it
it's
snowing
colder
there?
for them. I don't know if it's snowing yet.
I'm very fixated on the snow.
I'll let you know when it snows.
Let me know.
I will.
Can you text me when it
Yeah,
snows?
I will.
I'm curious.
It might have already snowed. Anyways. Sorry, enough of our jibber jabber. Why don't we get back into it? This week's episode, what are we talking about, Nicole?
We are talking about resume building.
What? Aren't resumes the exact same your whole life?
Nah.
Oh, no.
No.
Of course not.
You gotta
'Cause
change them.
This is a legal resume. This is a legal resume. A legal resume is
Yes.
going to be different. What's going to be different about it? You're definitely not going to put you worked at McDonald's on your legal resume. It's not applicable.
With the McFlurry machine.
It's not.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Okay, we'll get into it. So,
I'm excited for this one.
yeah, it's actually a good episode. All jokes aside, I actually didn't realize that your legal resume is going to be any different than any other resume you have, but it is going to be different. Everything from what you put on it to actually the way it looks. So, let's get on into it. Because we're like the best ever, link down below will be a template to like what a legal resume should look like, and you can kind of just fill in the blank to be as helpful as possible.
Yeah. And also, everyone will say, I guess I'm getting right into it.
You're getting right into it. All
Okay,
right, start us off. Go ahead.
I have so much I need to say.
Okay.
Everybody will look at your resume and say something different. You need you need to go with what you feel looks good and what is right.
So this is my mentality about it. Ask somebody who's been in a recruiting position or like seen enough resumes in the field you want to do. So like if you want to go into tax law, find out from someone in tax law and say like, what do you think about my resume? And if they have critiques, listen to them when you're applying for tax law jobs. And then shift. If you want to go into like something in like specifically with music law, like ask them and like shift depending on the industry sometimes. But we'll give you a brief overview of kind of like the different areas. So we'll start off with like understanding a legal resume, like what is a legal resume, what makes a legal resume specific, and all the bells and whistles that go along with it. So Nicole, what are the key concepts, would you say, of a legal resume?
You need to highlight your education, your experience, your skills, your extracurricular activities.
Yep. Right. You gotta do that. Why don't you ask me?
Okay.
Cool.
I can't. Let's get into that point.
Okay.
All right. Hold on.
Katie, what are the key concepts? Oh, good question, Katie.
No. All right. Katie, what are the key components of a legal resume?
So the first thing that you're going to start off with is going to be your education. Actually, the first thing you're going to start off with is your contact information right at the top of your resume.
Yes.
You're going to put your name, you're going to put your school email usually because they love that relationship. Your phone number, even the city that you're seeking a job in.
And your LinkedIn profile.
Oh, I actually don't have mine. That's
important.
LinkedIn profile.
I like to look at that.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll have you like link it when you apply for jobs, but yeah, yes. LinkedIn profile, you can add that. And then the next thing is your education. So you, I have mine as my my most recent education first. So my judicial doctorate for law school, and then my undergrad degree. And then with that, you want to put like, make it juicy. Like I have everything in there. I'm actually gonna pull mine up as we talk.
Make it juicy.
Well,
grab the reader's attention.
So like mine, I have like Student Bar Association, Senator, Budgeting Committee, Media Entertainment Fashion Law Association, Senator or Entertainment Chair Elect, Intellectual Property Law Society, Symposium Chair. Like, and I have like them all listed. Like, add everything you're involved in with school in kind of the education. Talk about what school you go to, especially with your undergrad degree, if you had any concentrations or minors, or like even if they're specific. Like, I've heard raving reviews about like the importance of putting like unique coursework. So like, let's say you were going into tax law again as an example, and you did your undergrad in like business and economics, but you took this like really interesting class on like understanding the tax, whatever. Like, put that in where it says, or like put in like a little section of coursework you've taken, and like definitely highlight that.
Also, you can put on it if you're on a scholarship.
Yeah, scholarship, add that as well.
That's important.
So then after you go into your education, you'll go into experience. And like we said before, like you are going to be stricter with your experience than you've been in the past. Like they don't really care about like serving jobs, babysitting gigs. Like, no, like keep it as professional as possible. And you know the drill. Twist things you need to twist to make them sound more professional if you don't have anything. But for the most part, keep them professional. And personal interest at the bottom. I've heard like, I don't know. I've heard some people say like they hate that section. I've heard people say like they love it. So I don't know. What do you think?
So over time, I've had to take that section off because as I was going through law school, I was building my resume and I was putting so many things.
You got to keep you should keep your resume at one page. It should
keep it at one page.
That's why Nicole said she took it out because there was no room for it.
Yeah, there was no more room because I just kept building my resume. So I took off my personal interests. But if you have the room, definitely put it on there.
Yeah. Well, so someone made a good point to me, and they're like, the reason why you want to have it is because if someone gets a resume and you come in for the interview and they go, oh, this skin looks great, but I don't know what to talk to them about, and they see something in the personal interest that applies to them, easy talking point done. Like 100% they can sit there and talk to you about it for whatever to start the conversation going. But also on that note, don't make it boring. Don't put like personal interest, reading. Like no one cares about traveling. Like you got to give us a little bit more than that because like what do they have to work with? You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
I have to say this is something I had on my resume for a long time, and I didn't know how to take it off because I just had it from like high school. Yeah. But a lot of my volunteer experiences I did through like playing soccer growing up.
Right.
However, like as I was, starting to get into law school and stuff, I'm like, no one really cares if I played soccer in, for legal internships.
Right.
However, I made so many connections even through these legal like externships. People would be like, wait, so you played soccer growing up?
Yeah.
My daughter played soccer, or this person played soccer.
100%.
Or we would just like make connections that way. So eventually I did take it off.
But it's a conversation starter.
It was a conversation starter. So I tried to keep it on for as long as I could.
I remember hearing a story of someone, and it was like, in their interest, it was like poker, like avid poker player. And then they didn't even talk about anything the whole internship other than poker. And it was sometimes that's just how it works. And like, it's a talking point. So I think like, a common mistake when you like first make your internship is going to be overloading it with irrelevant information. So like putting stuff in there, like we said, that jobs just don't apply, or like I've seen resumes and people put like coursework and it's like crim law. Okay, 1, yeah, we all have to take criminal law. 2, why is it on there when you're applying for an IP position? You know what I mean? Like it's supposed to be relevant coursework like to the job you're applying to. So I think that's like important to make sure it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Don't overload with irrelevant information. Keep it very specific and to the point. Yeah. Again, because you are keeping it to one page, you want to make sure the things that are going to make you stand out the most will be,
And you don't want to waste the reader's time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want to look at this and be like, okay, well, obviously. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's things that don't need to be on there. Be smart about it. I think another point is not tailoring a resume for the job. So like having a resume that's like highlights all this stuff you did in IP, but then all of a sudden you're applying for like a prosecutor position. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're applying for the DA's office, but then your whole resume looks like all you do is intellectual property work. Obviously there's going to be a discrepancy. Why would they pick yours? You know what I mean? Like you definitely should have version 1 of my resume, and then you can write like IP version or like crim experience, whatever you want to put. Like they should be multiple different versions of them.
So for me, I actually have one version of my resume, and it's just everything I've done. However, when I would interview and they would ask me questions, I would say, well, okay, so I worked in government, but now I'm going into private, something private. Well, how does that relate to us? Like, how could you, what skills did you learn?
Yeah.
In that.
Right. But I feel like most of the things you were applying for were pretty like within like similar fields. Yes. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking more of like if you're going from one side of the spectrum to the other, like you shouldn't have the exact same resume, because like we said before, those skills that are transferable skills from one job are going to be written differently depending on the position you're going for.
No, 100%. And where I was going with it was with the transferable skills is like I would just kind of like, twist it or, argue in a way where I was like selling myself. Well, I was really organized and I did this kind of work. However, it might not be the exact work of this, but, so you can kind of like change it in ways.
Yeah.
However, if you're going like, all the way on the other side, it is good to have like multiple versions and to highlight.
Especially nowadays when your resume is going through an AI tracker, like you don't even like sometimes they're getting knocked out just because it doesn't have like certain search terms. So like definitely like if the if the job posting says applicant must be and then says like keywords, like you kind of should, if you really want that job, I really suggest integrating those keywords into the resume somewhere, because sometimes these AI like generators are just like swiping through these resumes if they don't have those specific like skills listed. So
100%. And if they want those skills, you're gonna have to sell yourself
100%.
on how you have those skills.
But like sometimes you don't even get the opportunity to sell yourself, and you don't even get in the room because you don't get the interview because you didn't have it on your resume. So like that's why resume building, that's why this episode honestly in general is just so important, because like getting that interview, even getting to that interview is gonna start at your resume. So I think also another point I was kind of like trying to touch on but couldn't find the words is when I say like don't waste the reader's time, I mean like don't just use generic language like drafted agreements. Okay, well, what kind of agreements? You know what I mean? Like, be more specific. Don't say, like, contact with clients. Well, what did you do? Were you with, like, client face? Like, use specific and impactful language to give the reader some kind of insight on you, or they're going to get this and say, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Like,
I agree with that. And to go off of it, definitely use impactful language. However, you don't have to write paragraphs.
I was going to ask you that. Are you... Yeah. Is your resume bullet points or paragraphs?
Mine's bullet points.
Mine too.
However, again, this is, and I'll talk about this in a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody's is different.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that there is like a certain right way.
Yeah.
Like you want a resume build and like, we're talking about a lot of tips. However, like our resumes probably look so different.
100%.
And that doesn't mean like mine's wrong or hers is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's bullet points.
Mine wasn't bullet points. And then I took it to a resume review and everyone said put it in bullet points.
Really?
So I changed it. They said lawyers are lazy. They don't want to read that. So I'm like, okay.
I was going to say like these employers, they're skimming. They're skimming fast. And again, they're looking for those skills.
It is an easy way to break it up. Like being like, these are the 4 like tasks, like the 4 main important tasks you work on every day, like in your internship. There you go. There's 4 bullet points. So
I definitely agree with that. And, also you don't have to put paragraphs on your resume also, because if you put a few bullet points with that impactful language, if that language is very important, it's going to catch their attention. And when you go in for that interview, those paragraphs that you wanted to put on your resume, that's what you're going to talk about.
100%.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, a tip that we kind of just touched on, but like that I can't stress enough, I guess, is ask everyone and anyone to review and edit your resume. Like anyone that would listen. Like I've had like oh my gosh, what would she be? I don't even know what her title would be. My like a student advisor to look through it, like professors to look through it, mentors to look through it, employers to look through it. Like get everyone to look through it. honestly, look into it. Our school offers like resume reviewing sessions, like one with admin and two with alumni that come in and will like look through it. The other reason is like it could be an easy way to use your network of like, okay, I have a relationship with this person. It might not be that great. Maybe it's like someone I met through somebody else. I like what they do. I don't know how to like message them on LinkedIn and contact them. Ask them for coffee and say, I would love for you to look through my resume. I would love for you to give me some advice on my resume. It's a great talking point, and then you're getting advice. Because like Nicole said, everyone's going to have different opinions, and sometimes it's nice to hear everybody's.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's nice to hear everyone's opinions. They might say something that you didn't even think of.
100%.
So that's really important to get some advice. However, I'm going to counter you for a second.
Go for it.
And I just had a little different experience. So my mom, like she employs a lot of people and she reads so many resumes every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's for a medical office. So it's different. We're not in the legal field.
Right.
However, she would always look over my resume.
Right.
And she would help me, like what she looks for and what she's, and again, medical field, very different. However, the organization of it and, these keywords and everything. And I had a very strong resume. And I had a lot of legal internships, even like going into law school, which helped and, really build my resume. Mm-hmm. When I got into school, I would go and ask a lot of people about my resume. And so many people would tell me, you should change this or you should change that or take this off. And like some of them I did listen to because I was like, you know what? I like the advice. I would have never thought of that. However, others, I was just like, I'm not going to listen to that one. Mm-hmm. And not because I was just trying to be stubborn, because sometimes I could be a stubborn person. I just really felt strong with my resume for myself. And I was having no issues. I was really strong with like getting a lot of internships. I mean, I had set myself up for like, an internship like 2 years in advance, which is like crazy, but like I just felt super strong with it. So I was like, that's great advice, and I'm going to take that into consideration. Yeah. But I think for me, I'm going to keep it how it is just because it has been working for what I've been using it for. If it's not working, that's when another way go for some advice. But I do agree. I think it's helpful.
I also think it depends like on like I remember having someone review it who like is a partner at a big law firm. And like that was important because if I was applying to big law positions, they are going to say, like she specifically said, if it doesn't look like this format, we're not even looking at it. Yeah. So it's like there's certain things where it's like, okay, if you really want to be in a certain kind of firm and you're getting advice from someone at the firm, listen to them. But I get what you're saying. Like if it's just from like someone giving you advice, like take it with a grain of salt because like at the end of the day, you're the one advocating for yourself.
Yeah. And if it's working for you. Yeah. And like just keep going and like you can feel confident. If it's not working or you need to tailor it to something like something in big law, then you should definitely do that. So 100%. There's a pros and cons to it.
It also like at the end of the day, it's all depends on who it's going in front of that day, like whoever is gonna read it. I think like another point that is important is like there are some intricacies when it comes to legal resumes. So to put or to not put your GPA and rank. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I took mine off.
Did you?
I did take mine off, and some people did ask why.
So the rule of thumb is technically you keep it on if you're over a 3.1. I think it is.
Is that what it is?
I think that's like the rule. I could be wrong. It's like I definitely if you're under a 3.0, don't put it on.
Yeah, I definitely
don't put it on. If you're over, or maybe it's 3.3. Maybe 3.3 actually. 3.3, put it on.
Okay.
But it's all, and then if you're gonna put your GPA, definitely put your rank because that's like holds a lot more value to see like what percentage of your class you're in. Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Like, did you sometimes have it on? Would you take it off for certain jobs? Like, I guess I usually would put it on. Now I just keep it on because like whatever. But I used to only put it on if the job I was looking for stated a minimum GPA and I was already over that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, 100%. That's kind of what I'm like, yep, I'm over that. I'll put it on.
Yeah, 100%. If that's the case, 100% put it on. Right. If your GPA and rank is like super strong, put it on. Of course, that looks really good. You worked for that. Put it on there. Get the recognition. Employers. I'm sure employers love to see it more than not. For me, I didn't have mine on. I had like my strong suits in like other areas. Right. Because
I did worry. So originally, I didn't have it on because I didn't have my rank yet. So it's just like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Like, why have my GPA, if not on my rank yet, I'll just hold off. And I remember hearing from an advisor at our school and basically said some employers, when they don't see the GPA, assume that it's bad. Even if it might not, like mine wasn't, I don't have a bad GPA, actually a pretty good GPA, but they assume that it's bad if it's not on there because it's like, why else would you not add it on? So I'm like, oh, interesting. So then I threw it on because I'm like, why not? I originally shouldn't have had it there because I'm like, if they really cared, they'd ask for a transcript, which some jobs do. They require a transcript when you apply. So it's like, that doesn't really matter. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, definitely. It just depends.
You got to tailor it to the job also that you're going for.
Sometimes it will say GPA required.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it will say that. Look for what they're looking for.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then I guess like this isn't really resumes, but like it might as well be cover letters.
Yes.
Did you have a template or what did you do?
I had a template and I had it saved on my laptop, but then I would tailor it to who I'm applying to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I know. I honestly, like, ChatGPT is your best friend. Like, the amount of times that I'm like, here's my cover letter. This is this job description. What should I add and change? And, like, it's important to, like, anything that you couldn't put in your resume, you got to put in your cover letter. Yeah. So.
I actually took a whole class my last semester of law school on ChatGPT.
Really?
Yeah, on like artificial intelligence and everything, like how it's going into the legal field.
Yeah.
We could do a whole episode on that.
We could.
We should.
We could.
That'd be good.
Yeah, no, I definitely use it to my advantage when it comes to like writing cover letters because honestly, if you think, like I'm going to tell you completely bluntly, and I've heard this from recruiters, I've heard this from like people in the legal field, I heard this from advisors. If you think you're going to get a job that says like optional cover letter and you don't add a cover letter, they're not looking at you. They're not looking at your application. Like unless you haven't like you know someone through your network and they're pushing your resume, if you just put a resume and you put no cover letter, unless you have a 4.0 GPA and you're top 1% of your class, you're not getting that job with a cover letter. So like I know it's annoying, but like you can't be lazy. Yeah. You gotta write one, especially, and if it's for a job you don't really care for, then don't even bother applying because like at that point by not having a cover letter, like you're just kind of wasting your time.
No, always put in the cover letter, always put in the extra work even if it says optional, because the more work you put in, the more it shows that you're really interested in this job, and the more the employer will be like, okay, this person's interested.
And realistically, look how many people in the world, like there's gonna be 3 people that are up against each other that look pretty similar on paper. So if they can only interview one of them, what are they gonna look at next? Your cover letter. Like show a little bit of your personality. Let's see who's the most interesting. Like 100%.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where like the organization comes in your resume. That's where, you know, make sure you don't have spelling mistakes. You know, if they have 2 people in front of them, they're going to look at, you know, who's the most organized, who has the most, I guess, like personality and would really tailor to what they're looking for in that job.
100%. You made a good comment that I forgot. Talking about spelling mistakes. This is like a really random tip, but if you're going to send a resume to someone like via email or attaching it to a thing, always save it as a PDF because
they can't go back on it.
Well, people always told me that, and I was like, why does it matter? Like, why do you need it in a PDF? And they're like, someone had said, okay, imagine a recruiter opens up your resume, clicks it, and it's a Word document. Then someone's talking to them, and they're like, yeah, whatever, and they don't realize they're typing into your Word doc, and all of a sudden they look at it, and they're like, I'm not hiring this person. There's a bunch of random words in here. There's a bunch of spelling mistakes. There's a bunch of weird things with editing and margins and whatever, when really they did it. Like, if you keep it as a clean PDF, there's no questions asked, like, easy, give it to them in the most pristine position.
Wait, is this true that if you have a Word, like if I sent you a Word document, that you could go back and see the things I've changed already before I sent to you?
Yeah, version history.
Yeah,
like you don't want to do that. Like, send a nice, clean, easy to read. Also, like, again, super specific, but like name them. Like someone once gave me a tip of like put everything as like full name. So Katie Hortensio resume, Katie Hortensio cover letter, Katie Hortensio transcript. Why? They're gonna get really annoyed seeing 100 documents Katie Hortensio, but guess what? That name is sticking in their head.
Yeah.
Like rather than being like resume -KO, like they don't know who that is. Give them the whole shebang. Like they're getting 6 documents that they asked for, and they're all gonna have my full name, so they're gonna have my name in their head.
Yeah. Also, if they're like saving that to their computer and it just says resume, they're gonna be like, "Whose resume
100%.
is this?" You know.
100%.
Yeah, that's definitely important. Write your full name and what it is.
Yeah. All right. So, what is like the key takeaway you'd give for listeners?
The key takeaway is just always update. Always update.
Great.
Your resume.
How often?
Always. anytime you get something happens, anytime you get a new job. I mean, this goes with your LinkedIn too. I would always update when I got a new job or a new accomplishment or something you want to add that looks important, that's really going to help you sell yourself to the next employer. Add, update it.
I feel like even if you like start doing a new, like, funny you say that, I literally thought about this today. When you start doing a new task at your current job, add it in because you'll forget. Like, be like, I actually work on this now, and like add that in because it's just padding it up.
I don't know if this is a popular or unpopular take, but what I would do is if I got an internship and it was upcoming and I was all set for it, but it just didn't happen yet, I'd put it on my resume 100%. And I'd put incoming, legal
100%.
extern at this entertainment firm, so that when, I'm still applying to other places, they can see like, oh, I didn't start there yet, but it says incoming. Always put incoming too, because you want to make sure that people know you're not.
There was even some times where like there had been jobs that like required drafting courses and like certain things like that, and I hadn't taken them yet, but I was registered in them, so I just put that in my cover letter, been like registered, like class pending or whatever, like just add it in, like let them know what you're doing. It also shows like, look, I'm interested, like I really want to do this so badly that I'm taking a drafting class and a copyright class and all these classes that like align with this job. I'm not in them, but that's how interested I am in it. I have it pending. So
I mean, even when I was in law school, I started this Instagram called Entertainment Law Bulletin, and it just showed like I was posting on there like updates in like the legal world of entertainment, and I put that on my resume. And a lot of people like that because they were like, wow, that shows like an initiative that you're taking like an outside step, you're not just, I don't know, going through the motions, you're actually researching and posting and putting things out there. It might look really minor, but just people like when you have a passion, and I put that on my resume.
And even like Nicole said, like that's a unique way. Like, yes, she did have like associations with the school, but having that bulletin is something that made her stand out. Maybe if you don't want to go like have your own bulletin, maybe join bar associations, join like extra like things that are outside of your even law school, so it shows, look how passionate I am about this. I'm doing all of this stuff with whatever. Obviously I'm a great candidate because I care that much. Goes back to the same thing. Like, you just want to look like you're the perfect candidate for it. Like, you want to stand out. Remember, you can have the best personality, you can be the best in the interview, but if your resume isn't even getting you in that room, and reflect on it. Look, if you applied to 100 jobs and you heard back nothing, like not a thing, it's different if you got some interviews. If you heard back nothing, maybe start pivoting and changing that resume up. Maybe start like talking to some people and seeing what you need to do. So
I 100% agree. I actually just had a thought when you said the word resume, even though we've said that word a million times during this episode. Have you ever watched Legally Blonde?
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're talking about making it scented?
No, I loved, that part when she had a pink scented resume. I love that part when she just started killing it in law school, and she just handed her resume to the professor, and he was like, it's pink. And it's scented. And I thought that
don't make a pink resume, but like make it stand out another. It's funny enough you say that. We went to a resume like review session, and Seth, did you ever meet Seth?
Yeah,
he's like my friend. He sprayed his with like coconut smell. So he's like, smell it. And it was hilarious because people were like, this guy's amazing. Like, he's so funny. And they're talking to him. And I'm like, I'm not saying do that, but like realize that a lot of times you don't get to be in front of a person handing their resume anymore. That's not the reality of today's day and age. You're hitting send on an email. So you got to make yourself stand out in other ways. So figure out how to do that.
Or one time I went to this networking event and people handed me this barcode that they had like in their pocket or like on their phone, like, oh, scan this, and their resume like popped up on my phone. I was like, what is this technology nowadays? This is crazy.
That's nuts. But keep up to it. Keep up to date. On that note, we've talked about it before. Keep up to date on your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn is your virtual resume at the end of the day. They should mirror each other. Oh my God, I keep forgetting. Another point that'd be my biggest takeaway is also remember, anything that you put on your resume, you should be able to talk about with no notes. If you're telling someone that you worked on this case or worked with this or worked with that, you should be ready to sit down there and talk about it for 25 minutes minimum. Like, so if you're not comfortable with it, don't put it on there. Or watch your wording and say like, participate, listened in on this deal, whatever. But if you're gonna say like worked on this deal or worked with it, be ready, because if someone asks you about it and you go, you look dumb. Only put it on your resume if it's like you're passionate, you're confident, you are comfortable talking about it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely don't put something that they're gonna ask you a question. You're like, I have no idea what you're talking
about.
Don't
just put something out because you heard about it at your firm. Because if you can't sit there and talk about, I read about that case, that holding. So like, what did you think? And then you're like, I actually don't know what we're talking about. You look stupid. So definitely only put it on there if you're 100% confident in talking about it.
Yeah, I agree. And if, the listeners on here, if you guys have any questions, me and Katie have been through it. You guys can reach out to us.
Yeah, 100%.
Girls Gone Legal, through the Instagram, through the TikTok.
100%.
We are always here.
Yeah. Send us any questions you have. And that kind of wraps up our episode today. Well, but thank you so much for listening. If you have any, like Nicole said, questions about resumes and resume building, like I said, we will link a template down below that you can check out. But again, grain of salt, take it with what you will. But yeah, message us on any of our socials with any questions. Follow us. We will see you next episode.
Yes, and in the meantime, stay sharp, stay stylish, and
stay legal. Bye guys.